Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita. Two names forever linked in the hearts of millions, two figures whose on-screen bond became more than just a story, it became a lesson in mentorship, resilience, and quiet strength. The Karate Kid introduced the world to Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi, a duo whose connection felt authentic, tender, and unforgettable. Yet behind those iconic moments, the reality of working together was far more complex, shaped by decades of experience, ambition, and personal history. Ralph Macchio was just in his early 20s when he stepped onto the set, carrying the hopes of a young actor ready to make his mark. Pat Morita had spent years navigating Hollywood, earning respect and recognition, including an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, all while breaking barriers for Japanese-American actors. Their paths converged in early 1983, in a California studio, where a film about karate, discipline, and growth would become a cultural phenomenon. For decades, Ralph remained mostly silent about what it was like to work alongside Morita. Now he opens up, reflecting on the challenges, the lessons, and the moments that shaped not only a film but the young actor who would become part of cinema history. Ralph Macchio grew up in New York, the youngest of three children in a family that encouraged creativity and expression. From an early age, he gravitated toward performance, taking part in school plays and local theater productions. By his teens, Ralph had appeared in commercials and small television roles, steadily building a foundation that would eventually lead him to his first major breakthrough. His combination of charm, discipline, and dedication to his craft set him apart, but nothing could have prepared him for the role that would define his career, Daniel LaRusso in The Karate Kid. Pat Morita, on the other hand, carried decades of life and acting experience when he stepped into the role of Mr. Miyagi. Born in 1932 in Iselton, California, Morita faced challenges from a young age, including lifelong health struggles and the discrimination that came with being a Japanese American during a time of widespread prejudice. He spent years honing his craft, appearing in television shows and films, and in 1987, he would receive an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, recognizing the depth of talent he had cultivated over decades. By the early 1980s, Morita had become known not just for his skill, but for his quiet intensity, his ability to command a scene with subtle gestures, and his unwavering dedication to authenticity. Their paths converged in early 1983, when the casting process for The Karate Kid was underway. Ralph Macchio had impressed producers with his energy, vulnerability, and natural ability to convey emotion. Pat Morita had been cast after careful consideration, selected for his depth, experience, and ability to embody the wisdom and patience of Mr. Miyagi. From the beginning, their professional lives were set to intertwine on a story about mentorship, personal growth, and perseverance, though the journey would require navigating the intensity of on-set demands, rehearsal schedules, and the weight of bringing a beloved story to life. Even before filming began, there was an unspoken understanding that this would not be an ordinary production. Ralph, barely in his 20s, was stepping into a role that required both physicality and emotional nuance, while Pat Morita, seasoned by decades of experience, approached his part with meticulous care. Their casting created a natural dynamic of student and mentor, both on screen and behind the scenes, where lessons would extend far beyond the script. The convergence of their backstories, the young actor hungry for growth and the experienced performer shaped by hardship and dedication, set the stage for something remarkable. By the time cameras rolled in California, their personal histories, professional preparation, and individual perspectives had already laid the foundation for a collaboration that would become iconic. For Ralph, these early encounters with Morita were the beginning of lessons that would shape not only his performance but also his understanding of discipline, respect, and the quiet power of mentorship. The making of The Karate Kid began in early 1983, with principal photography taking place across multiple locations in California. Rista High School in Los Angeles served as the backdrop for Daniel LaRusso's new school, while several scenes were filmed in the San Fernando Valley, capturing the essence of suburban life and the challenges of adolescence. From the first day, Ralph Macchio recalls the intensity of the schedule. Each morning brought early calls, long hours of rehearsal, and meticulous attention to detail, particularly during scenes that required physical precision. Pat Morita approached his role as Mr. Miyagi with exacting care. Every gesture, from the movements of the hands during the wax-on, wax-off sequence to the timing of dialogue, was deliberate. Ralph remembers Morita's insistence on repetition, emphasizing the importance of authenticity in every interaction. The crane kick scene, which would later become one of the most iconic moments in cinematic history, required multiple rehearsals, careful coordination with stunt teams, and precise execution. Macchio reflects on the patience demanded of him, not only physically but emotionally, as he learned to embody Daniel's perseverance, vulnerability, and growth under Morita's guidance. The dojo lessons, captured in carefully staged sequences, were central to the narrative and to the actors' relationship. Morita maintained focus, teaching not only the mechanics of karate, but the philosophy behind each movement. Ralph's early struggles with timing, balance, and delivery were met with steady correction, blending discipline with quiet encouragement. The production team recognized Morita's ability to lead through example, and his mentorship extended beyond rehearsals, influencing the way younger actors approached both their roles and the demands of filming. Filming also included lighter, more intimate moments. Scenes like painting the fence and the bonsai sequences required repetition, yet Morita's calm presence allowed Ralph to navigate the challenges without feeling rushed or criticized. Each take became a lesson in patience and precision, reflecting Morita's long experience in both acting and life. By observing Morita, Ralph internalized a standard of professionalism and attention to detail that would shape his approach to acting for years to come. Throughout production, the chemistry between Ralph and Morita developed naturally. The on-screen mentor-student dynamic mirrored in many ways the off-screen learning process. Every rehearsal, stunt, and dialogue exchange contributed to a bond built on respect and shared commitment to the story. Ralph recalls that, even in demanding sequences, Morita's presence offered reassurance and direction, blending authority with a quiet human warmth that left a lasting impression. The movie itself quickly began to take shape, as more than just a story of karate. Scenes were imbued with emotional depth, capturing Daniel's struggles with self-confidence, bullying, and adolescence, alongside the wisdom and patience of Mr. Miyagi. The meticulous care taken during filming, the long hours of preparation, and the dedication of both lead actors created a film that would resonate with audiences for generations. By the time the final tournament scenes were shot, the commitment of Ralph and Morita, along with the guidance of the production team, had produced a cinematic experience that would become a cultural touchstone. The combination of on-screen chemistry, technical precision, and the emotional depth of the performances made The Karate Kid instantly recognizable and memorable. It was a film defined not just by its story, but by the dedication, mentorship, and humanity of the actors who brought it to life, laying the foundation for a legacy that endures decades later. On the set of The Karate Kid, Pat Morita's presence was unmistakable. Ralph Macchio recalls that Morita brought decades of experience to every scene, moving with a precision that reflected not only his craft but the deep commitment he had to the role of Mr. Miyagi. Every gesture, every pause, every movement had intention. From the first rehearsal, it was clear that Morita approached his work with meticulous care, insisting on authenticity and focus from those around him. Rehearsing the iconic wax-on, wax-off sequence exemplified Morita's methodical approach. Ralph remembers performing the motions over and over, learning the rhythm, timing, and philosophy behind the gestures. Morita corrected mistakes with quiet firmness, emphasizing repetition as a pathway to mastery. The process was exacting, demanding patience, attention, and focus, yet there was an underlying warmth in the guidance. Ralph began to understand that Morita's insistence on precision was rooted in experience and a dedication to the story they were telling together. The crane kick scene was another example of Morita's influence. Weeks of preparation went into perfecting timing, balance, and camera angles. Morita observed each rehearsal closely, offering guidance not only to Ralph but to the entire cast, ensuring that every moment captured on film carried authenticity. Long hours were spent refining the movements, repeating them until they reflected the subtlety and intent necessary for the scene. Ralph recalls that these rehearsals demanded both physical endurance and mental focus, testing the young actor's resilience. Even during less physically demanding scenes, Morita maintained a level of intensity that set the tone for the set. The dojo lessons, the bonsai sequences, and moments like painting the fence required careful instruction and repetition. Ralph remembers Morita's guidance as deliberate and measured, offering corrections with a combination of authority and quiet human warmth. It was this balance that allowed Ralph to grow into his role, learning not only the movements of karate, but the emotional nuances of his character. Morita's behavior on set was also shaped by his own experiences as an actor in Hollywood. Having faced discrimination and barriers as a Japanese-American performer, he brought a perspective informed by years of perseverance and attention to detail. His standards were high, yet they were consistent, fair, and rooted in a desire for excellence. Ralph reflects on how these expectations created an environment where learning was central, and mistakes became opportunities for growth rather than sources of criticism. By the time filming reached the tournament sequences, Ralph had internalized the rhythm and intensity Morita required. The young actor had learned to anticipate Morita's corrections, to absorb his direction, and to translate that guidance into authentic performance. The result was not only a seamless on-screen relationship between Daniel and Mr. Miyagi, but also a working partnership built on discipline, respect, and shared dedication to the story. Through months of long hours, repeated rehearsals, and meticulous attention to detail, Ralph Macchio gained a profound understanding of Pat Morita's approach to acting. It was a combination of intensity, patience, and mentorship that left an indelible mark. These moments, captured behind the scenes, reveal the depth of Morita's commitment to both his craft and the actors he worked with, shaping a film that would become a cultural touchstone and leaving lessons that Ralph would carry throughout his career. As filming progressed, the relationship between Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita began to evolve. Early rehearsals had been defined by intensity, repetition, and Morita's insistence on precision. But over time, moments of mutual understanding and respect emerged. Ralph recalls that some of the most significant lessons did not happen during scripted scenes, but in the quieter behind-the-scenes moments where Morita's approach revealed both his professionalism and his humanity. One turning point came during the preparation for the All-Valley Karate Tournament. Weeks of practice, repetition, and fine-tuning had tested Ralph's stamina and focus. Morita observed every move, offering corrections with a calm, steady presence. It was in these extended rehearsals that Ralph began to grasp not just the physical demands of the role, but the discipline and patience required to truly embody Daniel LaRusso. The intensity that had once felt challenging now became a source of guidance, a framework through which Ralph could grow both as an actor and as a person. Ralph also learned to appreciate the subtle ways Morita taught. The moments when Morita shared small stories from his own life, or quietly guided him through complex choreography, were lessons in both craft and character. These exchanges were never flashy or performative. They were gentle, deliberate, and infused with decades of experience. Ralph realized that Morita's corrections and insistence on repetition were not criticism, but a method of mentorship. Each adjustment, each patient demonstration, reinforced not just technique, but values, discipline, humility, and respect for the craft. The bond between them deepened further during the filming of emotionally charged scenes. Ralph remembers the moments when Daniel faced self-doubt or fear on screen, and Morita guided him not with words of encouragement alone, but through example. Observing Morita's own control and composure, Ralph internalized the patience, resilience, and focus that had made his mentor an actor of such enduring skill. It was in these moments that Ralph began to see the quiet power behind Morita's methods, and the way dedication and care could shape performance in subtle but profound ways. By the final weeks of production, Ralph and Morita had developed a rhythm that extended beyond the script. Rehearsals flowed more smoothly, corrections were absorbed with understanding, and the shared commitment to the story created a sense of trust. Ralph recalls how this trust allowed him to take risks in his performance, knowing that Morita's guidance would always be present, precise, and grounded in experience. Their relationship had shifted from teacher and student to a collaborative partnership, where mentorship was balanced with mutual respect. These turning points left a lasting impact on Ralph. Beyond the technical aspects of karate or timing, he absorbed lessons about patience, discipline, and resilience that would stay with him long after filming wrapped. Pat Morita's approach had been exacting, but also profoundly human, warm, consistent, and filled with care. For Ralph, the emotional richness of these months was inseparable from the professional growth they fostered, creating a bond that extended beyond the screen and shaped his understanding of mentorship, artistry, and personal development. By the time The Karate Kid was released in 1984, it had already become clear that the film was more than just a story about karate. Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita had poured months of disciplined rehearsal, emotional focus, and careful collaboration into every scene, and audiences responded to that authenticity. The story of Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi resonated with viewers across generations, capturing universal themes of mentorship, perseverance, and personal growth. The chemistry between the two actors was central to this impact, and it was forged in countless hours of preparation, repetition, and shared commitment on set. The film quickly became a cultural phenomenon. It performed strongly at the box office, introducing audiences to the memorable crane kick, the wax-on, wax-off lessons, and the tension and triumph of the All-Valley Karate Tournament. Pat Morita received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, cementing the recognition of his performance and bringing attention to the depth and subtlety he brought to the role. Ralph Macchio's portrayal of Daniel captured the vulnerability and determination of adolescence, earning him lasting acclaim and a permanent place in popular culture. Behind the scenes, the collaboration between Ralph and Morita remained central to the film's success. The mentorship that had developed on set, Morita's insistence on precision, patience, and discipline, and Ralph's dedication to learning, translated into performances that felt real, intimate, and emotionally resonant. Every lesson, every correction, every carefully choreographed movement contributed to the authenticity that audiences felt in every frame. Their working relationship became a quiet anchor for the film, shaping not only the characters but the heart of the story itself. The influence of The Karate Kid extended far beyond its initial release. It spawned sequels, television adaptations, and reunion specials, and decades later, the story continues to be referenced, celebrated, and cherished. Ralph reflects on the enduring appeal of the film as rooted in the humanity and dedication of the people who brought it to life. The attention to detail, the mentorship, and the shared commitment between the actors created something timeless, a story that still resonates with new generations while honoring the original performances. For Ralph Macchio, the legacy of the film is inseparable from the lessons learned on set. Working with Pat Morita shaped his approach to acting, instilled a respect for craft and discipline, and created memories of collaboration that remain deeply meaningful. Morita's guidance, though exacting, was infused with warmth and care, and it left an imprint that went far beyond the technical aspects of the role. The bond they developed during filming remains a testament to the power of mentorship, the value of patience, and the impact of shared dedication to storytelling. The cultural significance of The Karate Kid, combined with the personal growth Ralph experienced under Morita's mentorship, underscores why the film continues to be celebrated. It is remembered not only for its memorable lines, moves, and moments, but also for the authentic relationship between Daniel LaRusso and Mr. Miyagi, a relationship built on trust, guidance, and human connection. Decades later, the lessons of the film, both on and off the screen, remain as vivid and meaningful as they were in 1984. The journey of Ralph Macchio and Pat Morita on the Karate Kid set is one defined by discipline, patience, and the quiet power of mentorship. From the earliest rehearsals to the final tournament scenes, every moment on set carried intention, focus, and a shared dedication to authenticity. Ralph's experiences alongside Morita shaped not only his performance but his understanding of professionalism, resilience, and the profound impact of guidance offered with care and consistency. Decades later, the lessons of that collaboration remain vivid. The film's enduring popularity, its iconic scenes, and the recognition of Morita's Academy Award nomination are reminders of the lasting impression created by their partnership. For Ralph, the experience was not only about becoming Daniel LaRusso, but about learning from a mentor whose exacting standards were tempered by warmth, humanity, and unwavering dedication. The legacy of the Karate Kid extends far beyond its story of karate. It is a testament to mentorship, trust, and human connection. Ralph Macchio's reflections illuminate the depth of that bond, showing how the lessons learned on set continue to resonate. For more emotional stories, check out this video.